Hey everybody, and welcome back in this continuing series of looking at one of Clubbell Training's big three, the hammer swing. Get that core crazy strong and engaged with the rest of the body, okay? With one of the most efficient and effective weight training tools out there, the Clubbell. So what we're gonna do this week, last week you worked with the two-handed side swing. Now what we're going to do is we're going to actually alternate from one side to the next. And we're not going to be going as deep with the side hip root, because with the side hip root we wanted to really develop the drive in the legs, to get your leg drive to coordinate with your hip snap while maintaining that long coccyx to crown. It also helps ensure through the full range that we've maintained shoulder pack and elbow lock with that long arm and short arm, right? Because as we touched on, oftentimes with two-handed training, you've got a long arm, which is the one furthest away from the knob, and the short arm, which is the arm that's closest. And if I'm holding it here, you have the bend in the arm. So we want to make sure that stays locked so that we avoid risk of injury with tendonitis and everything else going on. If you don't have the proper mechanics. If you got the proper mechanics, you're good to go. So with the two-handed side swing, now we're going to move into a two-handed side semi. And the side semi moves from one side over to the other, back and forth. Looks like a, tick-tock, a big grandfather clock. Only what happens is the drive is much more subtle in the hips. So we're still getting the drive, and it's still that spiral action in the legs, side to side, with the hip drive, but this time we're not going as deep all the way through. And we maintain Clubbell, shoulder pack and elbows locked both ways. Now what was important about what we did last week was because we were getting the leg drive and the hip drive while maintaining long coccyx to crown, we were building in the foundation to avoid this starting to happen. I'm going to do it slowly, I don't want to hurt myself. As you're coming through, to swing, the tendency to swing and bend at mid-back. So all I'm doing here is I'm bending at my mid-back and trying to pull up. So not only am I twisted, I'm twisted and I'm torqued, and now I'm trying to extend backwards as I try and lift the Clubbell up. Because we see the Clubbell going up, going down, going up, going down. But as I do this, I still maintain long coccyx to crown all the way through. With both arms locked out. So what you're going to do is just start off slow and you can start to tick-tock it back and forth and just get the feel for the drive in the legs with the hip going side to side. So you've got back and forth, and what you'll find is once you start getting it crisp, so it's a crisp snap, the weight starts to fly up. Now, this range is a little bit smaller, it's a little bit tighter for your torso to then be able to rotate with the snap of the hip going side to side with your weight. So what you want to do is, now we've avoided kind of bending, getting our legs and our hips going side to side. We've avoided bending at that mid-back. Now what we want to avoid is, we want to avoid bending a little higher up into our upper back, where what would happen is I'm getting the snap, but because my torso, if my torso isn't turning, I start doing this. So now my shoulders are coming out of pack and I'm hunching to try and raise that up. So I'm getting my snap, but I'm allowing that curvature in the upper back. I still want to maintain shoulders packed, because the shoulders packed and the elbows locked are what tie in the weight to the rest of our body. That's what makes Clubbell training one of the most effective full body strength and conditioning tools, is if you tie it in with proper biomechanics, you attach a weight that is moving because of the leverage, disadvantage, and all that good stuff. You're gonna get, it feeds back into your entire body. And that's where the conditioning effect comes in. So, as we're going from side to side, so you're working side to side, shoulders stay packed, elbows stay locked, and you're working that drive of the leg, snap of the hip, and it's crisp. And now the weight's coming up. And now, from that hip snap, turning the torso and looking towards the end of the club bell as you go either way. Now, as I mentioned, this is very nice for this, right? And so you are going to start to feel that. As you're going, you're going to start feeling this action, the rotation in your core. And what's happening is rather than just doing crunches where we generally, we have this feeling of crunch in, pull in, we are resisting being pulled away. And that is one of the major strengths of the abdominals. That's our core. That's what our core, a big part of what our core is meant to do, is anti-rotation. So as I come up, that weight is pulling everything, and my core is actually resisting it being taken way out of whack. So from here, you will start to really feel that core starting to get engaged as we move through. All right, work on that one. We'll see you next week for the third installment before we move on to the full-on hammer swing. Have fun.